Now tonight on the night team, the bond won't budge. A judge in Bardstown today decides that $10 million it is for Brooks Houck in jail, and that's where it's going to stay for the accused killer of Crystal Rogers. Appreciate you staying up with us late tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt. Also tonight, one U of L professor who predicted last week in a live interview on WHAS11 that the judge wouldn't change it is talking with us tonight. WHAS11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie are also talking to residents.
In Bardstown, once again, a development in the case of Brooks Houck that has residents talking, a judge refusing to lower his high bond.
Probably a lot safer.
Nelson County Circuit Judge Charles Sims III is keeping the bond at $10 million. The judge cites 4 reasons. The first, the court believes Brooks has access to substantial financial resources, making less than $10 million unreasonably low.
You know, I mean, especially with somebody with that much money, you never know what they can do. You know, and as far as the witnesses goes, nobody wants to see, you know, something else happen.
The judge said he believes that most defendants are a flight risk when facing life in prison like Houck. Plus, the judge wrote there is one or more cooperating witnesses and the court is concerned for their safety, and the court wants it to be a fair and impartial trial and believes the integrity of the proceeding is at stake because of the actions of the Houck family, deliberately engaging in misconduct.
It's gone on many years. They worked very hard to prosecute him, to get the correct evidence, and I believe now that they finally do have everything they need, yeah, I think he should be held.
Sam Markison, U of L law professor, predicted last week on WHAS 11 that the judge wouldn't move the bond. He says the behavior of the Houck family factored into that.
Recording grand jury testimony against the law, potentially being involved in a murder, an additional murder, Brooks Houck's brother, Nicholas.
Markison says these raise real concerns about whether additional crimes could be committed if Houck got out of jail.
Those are reasons that the court can hold you without bail at all, without release at all. So in this case, the judge didn't do that, but he was certainly not going to reduce the bond given those risks.
Yet some Bardstown residents still have questions they hope will be answered soon.
I think everybody just wants to know why. You know, what's the motive? Why Crystal? Why Tommy?
Until then, most are hoping this gives the Ballard family some sense of peace. In Bardstown, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
By the way, the next court date for Brooks Houck is scheduled for February 8th. That's for a pretrial hearing. He is currently being held in the Hardin County Detention Center. To stay up to date on any new developments in the Crystal Rogers case, stay with WHAS11.com, and you can also download the free WHAS11 app. The White House tonight is blue and white, showing solidarity with the people of Israel in the country as the country responds to the surprise and brutal attack from the militant group Hamas. You're looking at live pictures there from Washington tonight. At least 900 people are reported dead in Israel, including 11 Americans. President Joe Biden also saying today he believes that it is likely that American citizens may be among those being held hostage by Hamas. Also tonight, nearly 700 people are dead in Gaza. Israel responded to the attack today, striking Gaza continuously. The Israeli Defense Forces say they hit nearly 1,500 military targets. The Israeli Defense Minister is calling it a total siege as they cut off all gas, electricity, and power to Gaza. Hamas has threatened to start killing more than 100 people held hostage if the shelling doesn't stop. Tonight, people on both sides are facing the horrors of war.
One feels safe. I mean, you feel bombing is just random. I mean, it happens everywhere, anytime.
President Biden has pledged support for Israel in the coming days, along with the leaders of Italy, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. By the way, a Louisville family is still trying desperately to get out of Israel amid the fighting. Linda Schuster and her family flew into Israel just last Tuesday. She says they were enjoying the trip until Saturday morning when the sirens started going off in Tel Aviv. Since then, she and her family have been stranded in their hotel, listening to the deadly attacks outside.
When you hear the bombs go off, you just are, it's scary, and you know that something's happening and people are being killed, whether it's on one side or the other.
Another group from Bardstown is expected to return to the United States by Wednesday. Mayor Dick Heaton of Bardstown says 29 people were in Israel for a Holy Land tour. They're now in a safe location in Jordan. All new on the night team. 1 week from today, the demolition begins on that home filled with dangerous chemicals in Highview of Jefferson County. And now for the first time, we know that a Central Kentucky company will be handling the highly sensitive job, taking apart this home piece by piece. WHAS11 night team's Alex Dieterer and photojournalist Addie Hill are talking with neighbors who've been waiting and waiting.
Trucks, trailers, and bulldozers moving into a Highview neighborhood as the Environmental Protection Agency prepares to dismantle the home at 6213 Applegate Lane. Neighbors across the street and down the road,
I think I'm 3/10 of a mile from it as the crow flies,
have been preparing too. Richard Bones Warren lives just a couple of blocks from the house, which could be dismantled as early as October 16th. The house is filled with more than 20 hazardous materials and explosive substances.
but I think it's a good idea to take more time to demolish the house, but I think it's a safer play for all involved.
Instead of a controlled burn of the home, a Nicholasville, Kentucky company called CMC Environmental Services will first remove the walls and roof and then demolish the inside piece by piece. Once the contents inside the home are removed, they'll be placed into a steel tank in the backyard to be processed. That will allow all the pieces to be safely taken off-site and moved to a landfill. The EPA estimates that the dismantling process of the home will take up to 12 days. Some neighbors do acknowledge that 12 days is a longer process than a burn would be, but they say they're okay with it.
I think the slow dismantle, yes, it's going to be more of an inconvenience to everybody around here, but I think it's the safer play.
Dismantling the house also means Warren gets to stay in his home.
And obviously, a lot of people were worried. They were worried that they may be displaced, and for how long, they didn't know. That was a big concern.
EPA officials say neighbors may see smoke or smell something strange during the dismantling process. In Louisville, Alex Dieterer, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
EPA officials say the risk for a fire outbreak is low while they're conducting this job, but the Fern Creek Fire Department and air quality monitors are going to be on site at all times throughout the lengthy, slow demolition. The Metro Council member who represents the Highlands of Louisville is pushing for an entertainment district patrol after a bar fight turned into a shooting at Baxter's over the weekend. An innocent bystander was shot and hurt there. Councilman Ben Reno Weber says violence like this is happening far too often across Louisville.
We need to be being proactive from an enforcement perspective, so that's part of why we are pushing for an entertainment district patrol. But also from a prevention perspective. I think it's really important for us to be looking at why are people so willing to turn to violence and potentially fatal violence.
Last month, LMPD temporarily did increase patrols and traffic enforcement in popular areas like Bardstown Road, Baxter Avenue, Frankfort Avenue, and Brownsboro Road.